Right.
Okay. So this week I thought I'd do a drawing demo. So a little bit of charcoal and pastel type thing. So I'll do that in a minute. Also, I'm going to make this week the last week of this particular project, and then next week start a new project. So obviously you're welcome to overrun if you want to, but I've got to do projects on the interiors, and it just sort of helps me if I keep all the projects in line, the different classes. So, although we've got one more week in May with this class, my Thursday class starts in June next week. So I thought it's probably better to keep it to perhaps 4-week projects. So yeah, I'll make this last week of this one. So I'm here next week, which is the it's the last week in May, isn't it? So I'm here next week. The week after, I'm away, so there isn't a class the week after.
So you told you that's the 6th, what was that, 2nd of June or something?
6th of June. Yeah, so there isn't a class on the 6th. So so I'll then, what I might do is just sort of do like the following month of June. I think it's 3 weeks, but I'm going to run the classes to the first week in July. So I'll just do a project for that, I think. Okay. Or this can be next week can be the start of that project. Okay, right. So I've got to do a little bit on. So last week I did, in a sense, it was a drawing demo last week and a drawing theme using. And I thought it might be quite nice to use some of those sort of softer mediums, sort of things like charcoal, pastel, that sort of thing. Again, inspired by the masters, and really sort of inspired by this Leonardo da Vinci drawing. And I quite like this one. And I always thought this might be quite nice to try and interpret. It's one of his more imaginary drawings. And apparently there's sort of like symbolism of sort of religious symbolism. I think it's like the Catholics versus the Germanic thing. So I think that the eagle might be symbolising Germany. That's what I read somewhere anyway. But I thought it was quite an interesting sort of lively kind of fantasy type of image. I always quite fancied maybe making that into a painting, with that idea of like taking somebody else's art and seeing where you can go with it yourself, like an interpretation. But to start with, I thought I'd just do a little bit of drawing. So, I mean, years ago, I don't think artists really used graphite. I don't know when they started using graphite, but they certainly wouldn't have had like the traditional pencils that we got, with sort of graphite in the middle and wood around them, because they just didn't exist. So artists used things like chalks and charcoal and those sort of mediums. So I thought I'd start with a little bit of charcoal. I've got a few bits of charcoal here from the ones to try this out. And so again, I started this in the morning, but I thought I'll just carry it on. It was going quite nicely. So I'll just carry on with the bow and just outline some of the ways that I've kind of worked so far. So this is going to just try and get that nice kind of sail shape. And then it's there. Working with charcoal, it's a really soft medium, and it's a nice medium for just blocking in tones quite quickly. I find with a pencil, I might be doing these sort of kind of, little pencil marks forever. It just takes so long to do. One way you can work is to just kind of work some. I'm not exactly following it exactly. You can kind of work some of the charcoal in like this, and then blend it in either using fingers. That's one way of working. This is a little bit of leather that came with a drawing kit, and this is quite nice for just kind of softly blending the areas, because it just tends to move the charcoal around rather than taking it off completely. Not the most accurate. Use that. The other thing you can use is these little paper blenders. You can get these in sets, and they're very cheap. I think even the Works does these for just a small amount of money. And it's basically just rolled up paper that's been sharpened to a point. And with that, I can just work that into the corners, and perhaps a little bit more down the bottom here. So I don't have to be too accurate about how I put that on, because just kind of work that in, blend that in. What you can also do is draw in the lights with a rubber. So either a normal rubber, or you can get these putty rubbers that you can just shape. So if I wanted to get some nice thin lines in there, which there are, I could shape that in something like that. And then I can kind of draw into it like that. Get some nice. It's a way of lifting out the highlights, so that's quite a nice way of drawing. It's quite messy, but quite a nice, touchy-feely sort of way of drawing. That can be nice. And the charcoal is a medium that's quite soft, and you can push it around. You can lift it out, put it in. Things like what you can see there is I can see a line going through, and that's where I've used a pencil. So what you can also use with the charcoal is things like pastel pencils. So in this case, we've got some sort of grasses down the bottom here, so I'll just get a little bit of background tone. And then you might want to use the charcoal with something like a charcoal pencil or a pastel pencil or something like that. These are nice because these are almost like a more definite line, a thinner line. And then I can work some of those. So if I wanted these lines that are going through the sail, I can do that. But this doesn't lift out quite so easily, not quite so easy to rub this out. So let's get a stronger edge to that. Yeah, something along those lines, and perhaps a little bit in here. Let's go back to the other charcoal. Kind of gradually soften that in, blend that in, so they feel like they're coming out. And then again up here, I think I used either charcoal or pastel here, just a sort of lighter touch, just something to suggest some leaves. So really quite a nice medium. And what I've done here is I've lifted out the branches with the rubber. What I find with the rubbers is that they get clogged quite quickly, so you have to just keep reshaping it, knead it back into shape when you're picking up a cleaner area. Is that key? So yeah, if anybody wants to have a go in there, I've got various little bits of drawing materials here. You can take it from there. Yeah, so as I say, the next project would be that I've got in mind is interiors. So if that appeals to you as a project, otherwise whatever you fancy doing. But it's something I quite like. I quite like painting and drawing interiors, sort of rooms. Could be people in rooms, or just a window ledge and a little bit of still light. Kind of interpret it how you like. Okay, any questions?